Welcome to the Napsolute Truth.
Yeah.
My name's Tammy X.
I'm Dwayne Kennedy. And you know what? One of these days, we got to get us some new mic covers. I'm here with the Bozo Nose
Oh
mic
my
cover.
gosh. It's not a big deal.
Well, I don't.
Do you want it?
red.
Here, just give it to me. Here.
No. Let's keep. I'm
You
fine
see?
with
You
it.
see? You see?
Yeah.
You see what I have to deal with?
Because for continuity's sake, you know. But
What
we gonna get
continuity?
Yeah.
You want it to match?
No. I was gonna say at some point we're gonna get some black mic covers.
Oh,
Yeah,
blackity black.
Blackity black.
I'm blackity black today. See, I got
know
mine.
you got your upside the head chair.
Oops, upside your head. I got my T-shirt. Everything that you love about America is because of what? Black
folk.
people.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. And then some indigenous stuff. I like that too.
Okay.
You know. And strudel. Everything you love in America is because of black people.
And immigrants. I think so too.
Oh, absolutely. Pizza and whatnot? Come on. You know? Tacos. And then you trying to, as bad as you treat Latinos. Well, but this is what they do. White folks do. They want your culture. They don't want you.
Yeah.
You know, I want the tacos. I don't want the Mexicans. I want the dances and the inventions. I don't want the black folks. I don't know about Italians. I want the pizza, and I guess they're cool with the Italians. You know, you know how that goes. The whole that racial categorization thing, where it was a legal term, right? Because initially, back in the day, everybody wasn't considered black. Get your
What did I do?
We need some tissue.
What's happening?
A little bit.
Oh, I have a booger.
No, not a booger. Just a little. Your nose is running a little bit.
No, it wasn't.
No, it's not. Okay, well, I saw a little glistening. That's all right. That might be glitter. My fault.
Glitter?
Yeah, glitter bugs.
Oh yeah, you know I was out at the club rolling on dubs last night. Well, I did. I had a gig.
Where was your gig?
I still might have glitter from the gig.
Right. Well, when you backstage studying your lines. I got to go over my lines.
You are
Mr. Kennedy,
I've never
5 minutes. Okay, give me a second to go over these lines. So, where was your gig? We don't talk about your gigs enough. You know what I asked you to do last time we recorded and you didn't do? I want you to promote your shows so that before we drop the episode, you say, hey, this is Tammy X. I'm going to be at wherever I'm going to be. You know, I'm going to do the same thing. Because ultimately, right, you're a jazz singer, I'm a stand-up, and we want people to come see us in those capacities as well, right? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but that's...
Well, you just did, so...
Whoa.
Bang, zoom!
I never thought he was that funny. Jackie Gleason.
I actually...
You know what
that
it
was
is?
a strange... You know, it's so funny the things that like wouldn't fly now. Like the whole premise of the show was like the physical abuse that he would put upon her.
Yeah, the punchline was domestic assault.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the punchline.
The punchline
right?
was literally a punchline. One of these days, you know, and okay, let's say.
God, it's just like flop sweat. Sorry, folks.
You okay? Okay, it's hot in here.
It is warm.
It's hot in the bunker.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, hiding from the government takes a lot out of you.
It really does.
But and I'm not excusing domestic violence, although.
He said although. That is like I need to put a disclaimer in for that one. That has nothing to do with me. That was all Dwayne Kennedy.
But I think it would have been even sort of remotely, I won't say funnier, but less threatening, because Jackie Gleason was such a big guy
already,
right? So when you're towering over a woman and you're threatening violence, I just never thought that was funny. You know, not to say he wasn't talented, whatever, but I just never thought that was that funny.
Well, you know, back then there's a whole lot of things. I mean, even up into the 80s, so many things that don't fly anymore. I think some for good.
Oh, the 90s.
Yeah. I think some for good measure and some for not. I think there's this blocking of expression when it comes to comedy. And then also, I think the crowds for comedy have become more isolated. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I am just melting in here.
You got any paper towels, bro?
No, I'm good. I got my little tissues.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah. But yeah, this notion that you just really have to police yourself. I think we were talking about that on the last episode. Mm-hmm. How does policing yourself, or how does the way that you show up, right? Mm-hmm. How you show up authentically. Mm-hmm. I think a good example of that, and how broad can your expression be? Mm-hmm. What's his name? There's this podcast that I wouldn't normally listen to. Once in a blue moon, it comes across my For You. Mm-hmm. And it's called the Joe Budden podcast. Yeah. And any other time that I would see it, I'm like, okay, this is like kind of a bunch of guys in a barbershop, and kind of that's what they're going for. And then there's the lady there to kind of give the women's point of view once in a blue moon. But it always just kind of left me, I didn't really find it compelling. Mm-hmm. But they just added this guy, Mark Lamont Hill.
He's great.
He is really great. And actually, this role really did, I think, more for him in my eyes, because in two ways. I think it did well for the podcast. It was a great decision on Budden's part, and it was a great decision on Mark's part, because Mark already has this, journalistic integrity moniker, right? Mm-hmm. And so coming on Joe Budden, it was really interesting to see him in a relaxed, blackity black, authentically black setting, being really open with his opinions, and even like I feel like profanity is a spectrum, right? There's some people that use it, that use it, and then just kind of, I'm just saying, this being able to be relaxed and be in this setting and also elevate the conversation that Budden and his crew are saying, are talking about, right? And so that's my question, like, how do you, do you find yourself in a space where you can be your authentic self?
You mean like in life, or what do you mean?
In your work. So like, say, like you have always kind of been in this space as a comedian, even now here as in this podcast. That's a lucky thing to have always been in a space where the way that you make a living is by your authentic self.
Well, you know what?
But in some cases, maybe not.
Well, to some degree, yeah. But where I was doing comedy, like I said, was, we go back to, this is a Chicago thing. I was doing comedy primarily in white rooms because I grew up around white folks, so I was used to that sort of, that comfort level. So I never did a whole lot of black room. Although you and I met, I was doing a black room, was doing Bernie Mac's room, which was a great room, So I said that to say that even to some degree, some of those rooms, I can't say I wasn't my authentic self in those rooms, but I wasn't all the aspects of myself. Do you know what I mean? Like the self I'm giving you is genuinely me, but it's not the only me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, which is why I wanted to expand my audience and to talk to, and not to say every black person is going to like what I do, or every white person, but just to broaden my net. Well, I say to cast my net in broader seas.
Wider.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because there's more things to me, and more, and not even just me. It's just like things that when you have a different type of audience, they get things maybe that you could say that another audience might not get.
Yeah.
They, you know what I mean? So I'm not even changing anything other than maybe my points of reference. So, and I like, because you were talking earlier about that, about, what were we talking about? The fact that with the proliferation of podcasts, I think it's opening people up so that I mean, maybe code switching is something that'll always happen because what society evolves and people's references, frames of reference evolve and all those things. But I think as people become more familiar with other types of ways that people relate, maybe it might be less imperative to code switch.
You know, that's interesting. There's actually a bunch of TikToks, little skits that people do, like, my at work persona, thank you so much. I'll follow up on that. And then they slip over to the like listening to rap music and like, and I told it, bitch, and it's like, it's like really funny, but it's funny to us because we've all done it. Yeah. Right? We've all put on this mask. And I know that was one of the things that we talked about earlier. I mean, both of us coming up in the entertainment world, we've known each other. Right. Yeah. We've known each other since we were in our 20s. Yeah. And, what is that authenticity? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Especially for me, coming from classical to jazz, right? Just the different ways that you communicate with people, and how do I just be myself? Yeah. It's not easy,
right? And it doesn't say because black folks aren't a monolith. So you being you and authentically you doesn't mean you're going to be in tune or in touch with every experience of every black person, because there's still going to be black people say, I don't, how that goes. You talk like this, or you act like this, or you think like this. Because me being authentically me, like, I'm not a big hip hop guy. I know hip hop a little bit, but I like rock. You know what I mean? So that's authentically me. So, and black folks invented rock too. So
yeah, everything. When I say everything, I mean everything.
So just because you're authentically you doesn't mean you're gonna still be in tune with everything that everybody of a particular group or race is thinking or doing.
I think that we need to create this new group. This multifaceted black person, because I feel like oftentimes, there's the soul of our community. There's this fight for the soul of our community, or for the soul of our identity, right? Between, the, conservative, uber white facing black person, and the, I'm down uber urban black person, and there's no place for the person that can just authentically, right? So not I'm faking being this and I'm faking being that, but I can authentically feel comfortable in any space because I've been given the gift to come up in those spaces where I feel comfortable, right? So I don't feel uncomfortable in, urban settings. I don't feel uncomfortable in, at a country club. I don't, and so
I'm more comfortable with Toms. Toms, coons, and sellouts. That's my demo. What's up, sellouts? Hey, what's up, Dwayne?
The sellouts, Dwayne and the sellouts, ladies and gentlemen. They'll be touring in your town.
No, but you know what I mean? Yeah, but exactly. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I mean, it's true. Like, what's wrong with the multifaceted? What's the problem with the multifaceted person? Nothing. It's like you got to choose a side. You're demanded to choose a side.
And okay, let me ask you this: who generally, I'm generalizing, is doing the enforcing? Because it's not usually the nerds who are doing the policing of the gangsters.
There you go.
Right? It's the gangsters doing the policing of the nerds.
That's true.
You talk like you, act like you,
and that's why I've been saying this for a long time, that white people don't make black Republicans. Black people make black Republicans with their isolationist ways of marginalizing people that just aren't like them.
Yeah.
And and people feel isolated. They go where they feel accepted, even though unfortunately that acceptedness comes with a certain type of fetishizing and where you become their pet, rather than their real friend or equal.
Next thing you know,
you want to know how they really want to know how they feel about you. Show up with dating their daughter. I mean that's a real thing.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So that's the whole thing too. Is like everybody black doesn't ascribe by the same ethos or aesthetic. You know, I tell you what, I love, and this became a movement. I don't know what it is. Some years, maybe 10 years ago, I think it started in New York. Afropunk. You know Afropunk, and I love that's my demo.
That's my jam.
Yeah, because Afropunkers, they get everything that black people get and everything that white folks get. They understand it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
I mean, and it's a thing.
Yes.
And it's a culture.
Yes.
And it's so welcoming, and you just get to be your authentic self.
Yes.
And I know that's where, like, my kids, you know, their generation is kind of going that way, you know, and so it's something that I think is really interesting. It's something that we can explore a lot, that I think we don't get to think about. Like, for me, I had to always be very cognizant of how I am perceived as a black woman in the entertainment industry, you know, and there's this, and how are we able to move in different genres and different spaces? When I was young, I was offered the opportunity to be with this really famous producer, and we happened to know each other, and so he was like, hey, I got this great opportunity, this big break, and, you know, unfortunately that break came with a very small amount of clothing. And so, I mean, back in the early 90s...
Oh, like I got a break for you put this on?
Yeah. You know, back in the 90s, there were these, you know, ladies who were, you know, singing lots of provocative songs, you know, performing in lingerie. It was the Apollonia crowd.
It was the Princification.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Although I'd say just the horrification. I mean, it was just very much like.
Right.
But again, like there were so many choices back then, so you didn't have to do it. But this is what was budding at the time. This was what was bubbling to the surface at the time. And I remember saying, "Hey, you know, I can sing. I don't want to put on lingerie. I want to make music that my grandmother can listen to, you know, that my kids can listen to when I have kids. You know, I appreciate you, you know, but this just isn't my lane." And, you know, a lot of my friends and family was like, you know, what are you talking about? This is your big break. And, you know, as I look back many years later, you know, that big break moment, you know, I feel like I have a really great career, but, you know, we want to have an opportunity where we are celebrated. And I stand 10 toes down on that decision. I would never go back and make a difference, because I think a lot of situations where people find themselves in compromising situations is really just a quest of character, and that you have to say what you will and will not do on your journey to what we deem success.
Let me ask you this, because, I mean, this is the way I look at you. Do you think that what informed your decision not to do that is the fact that you have such belief in that you have genuine talent? Because I wonder, sometimes these cats would prey on people that maybe weren't that sure about their talent, or had more ambition than talent, and it's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Outfit, lingerie, sure, whatever it takes for me to do, because I'm not really that confident in my, you know. I mean, you're a great singer.
Yeah, but you know what? I push back on that notion, because there are a lot of enormously talented people that can get swept up in the, you know, this is the only door you can come to. Right. And if you don't know anything about the entertainment world, you'd think that was the only door, you know? And so people put themselves in compromising positions on the thinking that's going to be the only time. And see, the devils in this industry, that's where they go to Hollywood, because they know people, they want it so bad. They plant themselves in the entertainment, they plant themselves as the gatekeepers for the specific reason of abusing and taking advantage of people.
Well, but nowadays you might get a dude who's a producer and says, you just go ahead and sing, I'll wear the lingerie.
It's so silly.
You know what I mean? I got that part covered. I just need you for background vocals.
I think the biggest thing is just, I can't be ingenue this week, and then be Natalie Cole, this classic, singer next week. The industry itself does not give black women that type of fluidity, that ability to reimagine and reshape yourself and your identity. It's funny. There was this episode of Joe Budden where I'm sorry, I can't think of the lady's name who is on the show, but I was kind of pissed that Mark was kind of taking her to task on her identity,
really?
On her identity as this. I think at the time when she was coming up, maybe she was what did you call it, Ro? Video
vixen.
Video vixen.
Yeah.
And that, now she is an older woman. She is, a podcaster. She has, I'm sure, many other roles since then. But this focus on who she was or how she was envisioned at the time, and that will be her overarching story throughout time, right? We don't get to reinvent ourselves. We are constantly at odds with our past decisions, where many men don't have that.
No.
They don't have that problem.
No. Or their past decisions, however horrible,
don't affect them.
I mean, there's a few more consequences now, but generally don't affect them or become a part of their legend. That's the cat that used to be with, So that just enhances your story. Whereas women they get black women. I mean, women in general, black women in particular, have such a short shelf life, and basically, again, but being imposed by European standards. Always go back to that. Have aged out by 24. At 25 now they're looking to get somebody else to replace you.
And that's fascinating because an actor, I think, I was just looking at this movie. I can't remember what it was, but it was, this white actor. And he was maybe obviously late 60s. And his wife was he a
white late 60s?
Yeah,
so
but I mean, he was obviously
140. That's what you're saying. Right, I got you.
He was obviously an older looking, distinguished looking, they call it distinguished looking gentleman. And his wife role this woman was obviously 30, very young. And she was just supposed to act like, he was her world, or he was supposed to act like he was 40. And I was just like, why don't they give the women his age this role? It's so weird. It's always weird, and it always happens.
Yeah, particularly, and again, with whites generally not aging well, it's even more pronounced. Because, like I said, he's late 60s, white. It's like, man, what's Methuselah doing? What's this 300-year-old man doing? Yeah.
It's stupid.
Which again, to me, because white folks dominate this society, that to me is why there's such an emphasis placed on age, because they start looking like leather briefcases at like 28. So we emphasize age because they're like mayflies. You ever heard of a mayfly? A mayfly is born and lives and dies in a day.
Really?
Yeah. So white folks are the mayflies of humanity. In the sense of, we only have a short shelf life of how we're going to look, our looks, and then we're going to deteriorate. So that's why there's such a premium placed on youth. Whereas black folks,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't, we stay intact. Basically, my goal is to be the best looking person at my funeral. That's my goal. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to look at me and say, man, that brother must be fake and he looks so good. But I'm saying, we're on different timelines. There's different urgencies, I think. That's my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my opinion. And if you have a different opinion, send me $42. We ain't did that in a long. We didn't do a fundraiser.
And that $42.
Yeah, we gotta get some money.
My last $2. Where was I? I was at the Blues Festival a few weeks ago. Yeah, I know. They don't advertise anything. What? They don't advertise anything.
I thought the Blues Festival in Chicago was like later in the year.
No, they changed everything around.
Because it used to be in August, right?
I don't know. Were
you singing or were you just there?
No. I was just there. I was.
You and 3 other people?
Shut up. Well, I got the honor to read some mayoral proclamations for Bobby Rush and for B.B. King. So that was a huge honor. I was very excited about that.
You ever heard that B.B. King song? I don't know if he wrote it, but it said, "Nobody loves me but my mother, and I think she's jiving too." I think she's jiving too.